Hi, everyone. My name's Tyler, and I'll be talking about Sharing Success, Owning Failure by David Goldfein. A little bit about the author. He wrote this in 2001 when he was a colonel, but he retired after 37 years as the 21st Chief of Staff of the Air Force. He's a two-time Distinguished Flying Cross recipient and was actually a tidbit shot down in an F-16 over Kosovo in May 1999. So the overview, the book is broken down into 5 chapters. It's a pretty short book, but it's more like an instruction manual than it is a leadership book. The first chapter, Expectations of Command, talks about how to establish your expectations from 3 angles. The first would be your boss. What does your boss expect from you? It's important to meet and talk with them and be open to take advice and make sure that that's known. The second is your troops. Talk to your troops or whoever you lead, if you're not in a military setting. Um, Ask them what a leader looks like to them, and they might give you some surprising answers. And then finally, from within yourself, whatever your core values are should be a critical component of your leadership style. Ask yourself where you want to be a year from now. What does your unit look like? The second chapter, Vision and Environment. Um, Talks about how important it is to have a vision before you even take the lead. Before you accept your job or whatever command it is, know how you're going to accomplish what you set out to accomplish before you do it, and make sure it's understandable, inclusive, and supportive. And he gives a good example of a vision statement that he used when he was in Italy was to show up on time with the right tools and the right training in order to get the job done right the first time. It's simple, but it helps everybody be attached to one core philosophy. And then for the environment, always try to create a environment that people are going to succeed in. And that starts with actively listening. So as a leader, it's important to show people that you are willing to take advice and that you value diversity of opinion. And if those sort of organizational structures don't exist within your unit, create them. If you need to give your junior people a way to effectively route information up to you, do so. Chapter 3 is called Walking the Walk. It's about mainly the difference between what leadership is versus management. And of course, leadership is about people, but management is about things or processes. They're different, but they go hand in hand. And he also talks about the excuse of empowerment. Some leaders will think that they're empowering their troops by not micromanaging them, when in reality, they don't know enough about what their people do to properly manage them in the first place. So it looks like they're giving them extra leeway when in fact they may not be accomplishing their job at all. Always set the example. And this is pretty simple. Show up on time, look the part, be willing to talk to people, and make sure that you're seen. He gives a good example here as well that routinely every leader should walk around to every section of their unit and every shift to make themselves seen. It shouldn't be a surprise that you show up at their work center. And then protecting your people. He gives another good example here. This is probably my favorite story from the book. There's a mission that they're supposed to support in Italy, and they needed to load some munitions onto an F-16. His maintainers were not qualified to do that, and his boss wanted him to participate in an operation the next day. So his people told him, "Hey, we're not qualified to do this, but we'll do it anyway if that's your order." So because he felt that they were honest with him, that he should be honest with them, and so he stuck his neck out to the general and said, "I'm not going to have this ready." But he used that as a learning experience, right? So he called in a favor from another base. They sent some people over to train his people on how to do that, and alleviated that concern from happening in the future. And then always rely on your or your institution's values. I kind of touched on this earlier, but if you're always leading with your values in mind or your institution's values in mind, it's hard to go wrong. Chapter 4 is about handling justice, which is more applicable to people in the military, but also has some relevance to the private sector as you may find yourself needing to issue some corrective action. So assess the conditions. Did the person understand what you asked them to do? Did they have the right tools? Did they have the right training? If the answer to any of those questions is no, then whose fault really is it? Make sure it's handled at the appropriate level. You don't want to undermine your people. Give them the opportunity to do this on their own. Always be constructive. Make sure you're being fair, consistent, and proportional to whatever the infraction is. And make sure it's handled privately, never in public. Goldfein wraps it up by talking about some great ideas, most notably that it's your responsibility for fun. Morale is your job and under your purview, so own it. And that leadership is about rewards, not awards. When awards are issued, they go to your people, not to you. Also about the importance of onboarding and how key it is to pair up new members in your unit to existing members who have been more experienced and have been around a while. Also, the importance of acknowledging the efforts of your high achievers. If you need to make a program to do this that acknowledges a person on a monthly basis, do so. And then the importance of mentorship in order to leverage the abilities and strengths of your senior people to pair with your junior people to ensure that you get the most out of them. For impact and recommendations, I think the biggest takeaway is that it's important to be deliberate with your decision making. He talks about this a lot. Also, that it's important to maintain the two-way trust between you and your boss, and then you and the people that you supervise to make sure that that flow of information is never compromised. And then when you are always making decisions with your core values in mind or the values of your institution, it's kind of hard to go wrong. As far as recommendations, I think that this is particularly applicable to people in the military. You may even find yourself in some of these situations, but it gives concrete examples of what military leadership is like. And then for people in the private sector, it's also good for high stress environments. So if you find yourself maybe with a big project coming up or something like that, it's a good way to see how people who operate in high stakes environments might go about their decision making process and how they leverage their people to get more out of them.